What's up, everyone? My name is Jason Way. Today I'm here with Kim Nguyen at Nguyen Mortgages, and we're going to talk about the financing business of real estate.
I'm very excited.
Yeah, why don't we just dive into the business? Why don't you tell us what you do, when did Vine start, what's the history behind it?
Yeah, so I've been with Vine. I think this is coming up to my 6th year actually with Vine.
Okay.
So been in the industry for 13 years. We provide financing solutions, so commercial and residential, local here in Calgary, and we service pretty much Canada wide as well too, because we're a nationwide team. Yeah, so my story, I guess, begins back in TD. So I actually started at TD. I was a financial advisor first, and then I realized from a very early start that I did not like doing investing. So then naturally I progressed into doing mortgages, became a mortgage specialist there, and then expanded to becoming a broker.
Got it.
When it comes to the brokerage side, I think the main reason why I wanted to make that switch is because I wanted to provide more options, right? Because when you're working with just one particular lender, you're really strapped and you're really, I guess you're really trapped. You only have one lender policies and you can't really help everyone, nor can you give them the best advice because there's more than one option out there for financing.
I see.
Yeah.
So more product option,
Totally.
more flexibility.
Yep.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That makes a lot of
And
sense.
I think like just dealing with investors, because my demographic, I guess, is I deal with a lot of investor clients. Most of them want to grow their portfolio, right? And again, it's kind of like a chess game where if you just stay with one lender, you're going to hit the financing wall pretty quick. But again, when working with a broker, when working with someone who has more choices, you're better equipped to help them grow, I guess.
For my investor clients out there, what's like the most important thing to note when you're working with a mortgage broker and your real estate investor?
When it comes to like the most important thing is you have to have a solid power team. I think that's like my number one advice. Like you have to have somebody who is a mortgage, like an investor focused mortgage broker, investor focused realtor, because again, anyone can do mortgages, anyone can do real estate, but again, like it's a little bit of an art when it comes to investing. Like there's a little bit more that's behind the scenes, I guess.
Totally.
It's an art.
Totally. Like you have to have a guy that can see value where it's not typically just where it's not obvious, right? And see the financing solutions to fit that.
Totally.
And out of your portfolio, what would you say is like new origination business versus kind of referrals?
I think for myself, you know what, it's funny, like when you're in the industry for a long time, and especially if you deal with a lot of investors, a lot of it is referral based for me anyways. I would say, yeah, just clients coming back to buy more properties, right? Because it does happen, that, and then also, yeah, I guess like the new originations essentially would just be like their family or friends, right? Like, oh, they're looking to,
but still referral.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's the weirdest experience you've had so far? Like the most odd request, I guess.
The odd request. Ooh, okay, that's a good one. I think like an odd request is I did have a client who asked if I provided moving services as well too, because sometimes people think that okay, like it's a one-stop shop, right? But I think they sometimes take that very literally, like, oh, like you can help me with my mortgage, can you help me get set up with movers as well too, and
really?
X, Y, and Z. Yeah, but
the realtor didn't.
No, so I think that was probably like one of the most weirdest things.
Maybe outside of work, like what do you like to do? What do you like to enjoy?
Yeah, I think like outside of work, traveling is always a good one,
Okay.
Traveling is always good.
Favorite spots?
Oh, Europe.
Okay.
I really, really, really do enjoy going to Europe. Or any place with a beach, right? You can't go wrong with that. You just need to zen out. Those would be, yeah, traveling is one of them. I also love Peloton as well too. I'm an avid Peloton user, so
wow.
Yeah.
It kind of stuck through COVID.
It did. It didn't go away. So it was good.
Okay. And then do you go for hikes like outdoors? Do you enjoy the mountains here?
I do like camping. I will, sadly not too much this year because of the wildfires and all of that. But yeah, I do really like that because that's when, you can just really relax. And there's sometimes no cell reception, which is a good thing, good and bad sometimes.
Yeah, that's true. What's the biggest challenge in your business so far?
I think the biggest challenge I would say would have to be the ongoing changes to policies, right? I think within the last 5 years has been probably the most challenging for most Canadians because it's just rule change after rule change after rule change. So again, financing is harder. It's hard. It's probably the most hardest it's been for the past few years. And it's not, gone are those days where if you have a really nice down payment, you can get a mortgage approval like that. No, like there's a lot of steps involved, and there's a lot of exceptions, and there's a lot of creative solutions that you have to come up with, and there's a lot more planning involved, especially if you want to get financing.
Right, and this is like in addition to all the interest rate
100%.
hikes, right?
Yep,
So there's
100%.
policy changes in the background that we typically don't hear about. Kim knows about that. There's mortgage rates that are changing all the time based on the yield curve and all that. So that is challenging.
For sure.
Okay. And what's one of the biggest challenges you see for your typical client today?
The biggest challenge?
The biggest challenge.
I think the biggest challenge is right now, especially where we're at in Alberta in general, is such a heated market right now, right? And I think that the biggest challenge is that since it's such a seller's market, there's just not a lot of inventory out there, right? There's not a lot to choose from. You have to make really quick decisions without really taking a whole lot of time to think about it. It's one of those things where if you want the home, like you better be super prepared. If there's rate changes, you got to redo that pre-approval again to make sure you know where you stand financially. And again, if there is a property that you like sometimes you have to bite that bullet and you have to just make that offer, right? Otherwise, it's going to be pretty challenging to go through it again.
Yeah, I think I see it on our side too, where we have to act really quick. And sometimes you have to lower the condition threshold.
Of course,
shorten the time frames, and that you can do that only if you're prepared to do it.
Exactly. And that's why preparation is key. The one thing is that we see a lot of clients come through, and they put an offer on, but they haven't been pre-approved essentially. And now we're kind of working backwards. That's never a good situation to be in, right? Because we're working backwards and we need to get extensions on anything. Like that kind of puts you in a really bad negotiation spot as well too.
100%.
Yeah.
What are your goals for the next year for this office? Like how many people are here right now?
So our team is nationwide, right? So we've got about over 50 agents Canada-wide, and our goal is to kind of grow a little bit more in the prairie region. So we've got a team out in Saskatchewan, we've got a team out in Manitoba now, and again, we're growing a little bit more in the Alberta side as well too. So we would like a little bit more smaller town reps. That's kind of where our vision is, right?
I see.
Yeah.
So over the next year, maybe add a couple more agents.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The cool thing about us is that since we're nationwide, we've got offices everywhere. So wherever there's a Vine office, so for an example, a lot of the teammates from like Ontario sometimes will go to BC for the summer and they'll just work from the BC Vine office, right? Or sometimes some of the BC clients or BC agents or Ontario agents will come here to work during the winter because it's ski season. So they'll spend a little time working here, and then on the weekends or something, they'll go skiing.
So there's a lot of flexibility.
Tons.
A lot of flexibility, but you guys are also local.
We are, yeah,
You're very local. You know the market.
Yep.
What's the most important thing about shopping local, using local services here?
I think when it comes to financing, there's certain things where a local broker would come into play because there's certain specialty niche products that only local lenders will offer. So again, a broker that's based out of Ontario may not know like all the ins and outs of an Albertan credit union, right? Like what kind of exceptions they give, what their policies are. And then on top of that, because you're from Ontario, I'm just using that as an example, you may not have access to a local credit union because local credit unions will only work with local people in the vicinity, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense to work with a local realtor, but on the financing side, that can get pretty local too.
Yeah.
Credit unions, they have pretty attractive rates, pretty attractive structures sometimes for what you're buying. So totally makes sense. So how do customers reach out to you?
Definitely. So Vine Group, we've got a website, we've got Facebook, we've got LinkedIn. I'm sure contact will be provided here as well too. Email, phone, text. I always say like we're always reachable, right? There's always a way to get a hold of us.
Last question for me, and this is kind of a doozy, but where do you see rates going over the next 6 months?
Oh my gosh, the $1 million question. So I think the biggest thing is we have to understand that Bank of Canada does dictate interest rates because they're the ones that can say, yep, we're raising it or we're lowering it. And their biggest mandate is to control inflation. All right. Now, what we've seen is, yes, it has come down. It's come down significantly compared to last year, which is great. We're on the right path. But I feel like now that we've raised rates to where it's at right now, I think it's going to be a little bit of a holding period, right? They're going to wait for some more economic data to be released. But the way that I see it is I think with all the increases, it's a little bit of a lagging indicator too, right? Just because you raise interest rates doesn't mean you're going to see the impact in the economy right away. It takes months, right? And I think we're coming into like the impacts right now. We're going to see things slow down, which is great. And then if it slows down enough, we're going to head into a recession. So a recession is coming. It's going to come within 1 to 2 years, and by that time, I do expect rates to come back down fully. So,
Wow.
as fast as it went up, like there's a chance that it could go down just as fast.
Okay.
Yeah.
So recession on the horizon.
It is, yeah. So that's why I always say if you can stay afloat to 2025, that's a date, okay? 2025, we just got to make it.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah.
Anything else you want viewers to know?
No, I think like I said, if you're in the market looking for a home, whether you're moving up, buying your first home, it's always good to kind of make sure you look at your options, right? I think that's the most important thing. Don't feel like you're trapped and you just have to stick to just your bank, right? Like there are, the one benefit of working with a mortgage broker is that, we have access to the banks and then some, right? So don't feel discouraged if you talk to your bank, they said no, it's okay to look at other options. And in some cases, you should be looking at it, right? Compare and contrast.
I think most people go to the tier 1 lenders.
Always.
And I'd say maybe 80% of the population will kind of test that. And then they'll get denied, and then they feel like they're out of luck.
Yeah.
They don't realize there's tier 2, tier 3 private lenders.
So many options, yeah. And then that's why it's just, again, going to the bank is the traditional route, but there's nothing wrong with looking at options, right? Because, again, one bank means one set of policies where not every bank feels the same way.
Yeah, exactly. Cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, well, that wraps it up for today, guys. Thank you so much, Kim, for making the time and having me here to do the interview. If you enjoyed it, hit the like button. Subscribe for more new and exciting content. If you're a local business and want to get featured, give me a shout. I'd love to interview you. And again, my name is Jason Way. I'm a local realtor here in Calgary. And if you're thinking about buying, selling, or investing in real estate, make sure you hit me up, talk to Kim, one of the other mortgage brokers I work with as well. And then, remember to shop local and stay tuned for the next one.